Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. It's Kim here, and today is our Back to Basics Techniques Tuesday. Ooh, I said it all in one sentence. And now we're here with, I think it's number 8. Not sure. You'll have to check in the description below. So I'm trying something a little different today. I've put my camera just a little bit closer, so it seems a little strange for me to be working this way, but at least I can sort of see where I am while I'm talking and showing you things. So we'll see if that works. If it doesn't, then it'll go back the other way in my next video. So we talked about coming to the table with a book, just a Reader's Digest or something about that size. I think I gave you the measurements. I've got a ruler here. And I don't like to get caught up in the measurements. It's about 5 by 7-ish. But just something that it just was plain text. I mean, there are some pictures in here, and when I get to them, I'll worry about them after. But just plain text and something that you can use to collage over top of. Now, excuse me. I said we're going to make some different ephemera. And we're going to make something new today as well. But this is, it's still making tags and journal cards and, small pieces that you can tuck into your books. But the idea is to have different options so that you're not caught up on just doing one thing or having one kind of supply. With book pages, you never run out. And so you can always have a good supply of them if you've got a couple of books, and you can embellish them so easily with other papers and fabric and napkins like we did last week. And we're going to work with napkins again today because it's quick and easy, and I had one on my desk and I said, I'm using this up. So what I like to do now, I will go back and stitch on these, but if you don't want to do stitching, if you just want to do gluing, you can certainly glue them exactly the same way, and I'm going to show you how. But I like to have the book jacket taken right off so that I can easily tear the pages out. And so I've got a full page here still attached in the book. Ooh, look how nice and brown that is on that side. But what I'm going to do, I've just taken one page, so I went from 191 to 193. So it's one page, and I'm getting my glue stick. Ooh, this is very close, isn't it? Is this too close, do you think? You can see the wrinkles in my hand. Don't look. And I'm just going to glue all the way down the page. Now, the reason I like to keep this in the book and not tear it out is that it holds it all together very nicely. I'm just putting glue all the way down. If you are not going to stitch these, then you would want to put a little bit more glue than this. And I'm just taking the page now and putting it right back where it was. And, taking your bone folder, a heavy card, any kind of tool that you can use to spread the glue out or adhere the first page to the second. And then I repeat and do the same thing again. So I did 191 to 193, and there's 195. Luckily, I hadn't torn too many pages out. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing. And glue this page to the other two. So this is easy because you can always have, it doesn't take up a lot of space. It's just your glue book. And so you can always have ephemera handy, or the possibilities to make ephemera pretty handy by just working right in your book. So then again, I'm going to press it into place and use whatever tool you have handy just to smooth out the glue if there's any spaces. And then all of a sudden I've got 3 pages glued together. So then, this is where I said you need to bring some blank paper, and I just have this, it's kind of an ivory linen stock, and this is again where I don't measure. I'm just putting it up against the book, so I maybe you can't see so much through the camera, but I can sort of see where the end of the book is, and I just take a paper, some type of a tear piece. Oop. Of course, on camera, you know how that is, right? It's not going to work perfectly. So I'll go down from this side now. And it really doesn't matter much because it'll all get fixed up in the end. Okay, so I've just torn away. I'm getting lots of shadow, aren't I? From this, oh, it's from this, the glare is from this ruler. Okay, so I've just basically torn it away so that it fits in the page along the width. And I'm going to do the same thing along the height, just fit it in. And you could do this with scrap pieces of paper. You don't have to use a full sheet. I'm just using one for the sake of this video. But many times I use bits and pieces. But now I have an approximate size sheet that will fit on the back of my 3 book pages that are glued together. So I'm not even going to get out my glue book. I'm just going to work right here on this book. So this is great if you're traveling and you just want to get a few glue cards ready. It's like making a master board, but it's all intact. You could even pre-cut your pages and then glue them after. You know, sometimes you're sitting somewhere and you've got a few minutes. You know, a book like this doesn't take much to bring. Just in a couple of glue sticks and a ruler, and you're good to go. So I'm just tucking it into the page as far as I can, and I'm just going to close the page down on it. There's going to be a little bit of shakiness because the cord is hanging on my table a little bit. And then I'm going to tear this out. Now, if I was doing a bunch of pages at once, I would just leave them in the book and just go on to doing the next one. But because I'm showing you right away, I'm just going to now lift this a little bit and glue it down a little bit better along the edge here. And now you can see that it's a little bit rough around the edges here, and it's, you know, not put on straight, and that's okay. I'm going to let it dry for a little bit on the one side, and then on the other side, I'm going to take my napkin. And again, you can do this right in your book. You don't even have to take it out. You can go back to your first page and then take some napkins, or you can collage on here however you like. And it doesn't have to be super perfect. I'm just going to lay this over top like that. I don't need right to the end, so I'm going to just take my scissors and I'm going to trim away the excess. And if I want to get really technical, I can cover it right to the end, but I'm not going to worry about that for today. And if you watched my last video where I was gluing a napkin down, I start at one end by lifting it first. Taking my glue stick and running it across just to hold it in place so it doesn't go anywhere. And then lifting it up. I'm going to glue all the way to the end there. I don't think it went quite that far, but we'll go as far as. And then taking my napkin, I'm just going to slowly ease it down and press it into place so that there are no wrinkles in it as much as possible. But that actually looks nice too. And again, you can take a tool to go over top, but you don't want to press too hard because you can tear the napkin, which I've done many times, like right now. Especially if there's a little bit of glue on your tool that you're using. So again, it's a little rough over here. I'm going to glue it down just for the sake of this video, but I wouldn't probably worry about it normally, but so it's a little bit rough. It's going over the edges. It doesn't come quite to the edge here. And I've still got that rough edge. Now I can leave it like this. I do like this look where it's a grungy looking paper. And you know, I've got this gummed piece from the book itself that I can just take off. So I can leave it like this, but some of you would be horrified at the idea of putting something like this in your books, which is fine. Although you should try to live on the edge. But no pun intended there. But yeah, I would leave it like that because I like it. And I would just touch up maybe this little bit here that's, I got stuff stuck to my fingers here, sticking off the edge. I would probably just trim that down a little bit. But for the most part, I do like that rough edge that came out of the book. So I'm just going to take my cutter now. I hope you can see that okay. And trim it straight. And so now that I've trimmed it straight, of course, it does look a little odd up at the top, right? Yeah, I'm torn. I really want to not do this, but I'm going to. Okay, so I'm going to trim off all the rough edges. And I now have this fully covered piece with a napkin. There's a couple of little flaws there, but that's okay. I like it like that. And it's still drying, but you can sort of see the writing coming through. And then on the back side, ta-da, it's already ready to be a journal card. And this can fit nicely in your book. It is under 5 inches, so you either use it as under a belly band or you know, you can make a pocket that's wide enough to fit it, or you could trim it down to size. But I'm just going to take it, it's about 6 inches, so I'm just going to take it and cut it into 2 pieces that are 3 inches and make 2 tags. We can never have enough tags, whether they go in this journal that we're making right now or whether we put them in another journal. You know, this is just a great way to get ephemera and get a little bit ahead. So when you have a napkin, that was only one little square, and I still have the end of it left over right here. So that is 1 square. So out of a napkin, you can get 8 tags or 4 journaling cards and still have all these little scrappy bits left, which is why I say don't go too crazy on getting napkins. And I have so many that I really need to use them up. So it's a beautiful floral pattern. I can decorate this even further. I can add, you know, different collage pieces on top, or, you know, the standard bird, butterfly label, that kind of thing. I'm just going to now trim this into tags because I'm going to use them as tags. And for the sake of the video, again, I will flip the corner over and use it to measure to cut off, but normally when I'm doing this by myself, I don't do that. And then just trimming off my little nubbies at the end here. And doing the same thing for this one. This is pretty because I like how the faded yellow has come through to show the book page a little bit more. So just trimming it on the one side. And then on the other, you'll have to let me know if this is too close or if I should be further away or what you think on this. So now that I've got my corners done, I'll just take these little nubs off. And I've got my ink handy and my ink pad is ready to go. Today I'm actually prepared and I'm just going to ink around the edges a little bit. Not doing too much, just more to make it not look so stark with the napkin against the book page. So just enough to take away that yellowy color. and going around. Till I get to the other side. So there's 2 tags ready to go. I can add things like a tab at the top, and I did bring some things to play with, but I'm going to move on to my next project and then come back to doing the decorating. So I can add a tab at the back. I can further embellish this with all kinds of things, lace, ribbon, little fussy cuts, whatever you have. And I have lots of different ephemera that you can download for free off of my Ko-fi site. So there's lots of opportunity for decorating these things. So my next project, now this, I saw a take from this. Now I think her name is Melina Pilant or Piland. I can't remember her name. It's such an unusual name. I know that her mother is scrapping with E, scrapping with me or scrapping with E. And this is her daughter. And I don't, I'm for some reason I keep missing her videos. I see them go by, but this one just happened to catch my eye. And she is using up scrapbook paper, leftover scrapbook paper. And I thought, it's a great idea for scrapbook paper. And I will link her channel below because she makes hers a little bit fancier. But she made a really cute little notebook. And I thought this is a perfect opportunity for book pages. So again, I took 2 book pages and glued them together just to give it a little bit of strength. And my glue stick is here. Now, her idea, I think, was using a 6x6 piece of paper, or I don't remember. But again, I don't measure because I don't want to get caught up in measuring, and then you're stuck saying, oh, what size was that? And you have to go back to the video to watch. I do things without measuring, just approximate, so that I am always in control of not having to worry. Which, we don't always get to be in control of things in our lives. So if we don't have to measure for the sake of creating art, that's great by me. So putting the 2 pages together again. And now I'm going to tear them out of the book. One extra one there. And so I've got 2 pages stuck together. Number 197 is stuck to 199, which is 200 on the other side. Why I'm telling you this, I don't know. So now I'm just going to trim this rough edge off. And it takes us approximately down to 5 inches. But again, I'm not worried about that. But I don't think I did it straight. So maybe I will line it up this time just so it's straight. Straighter. Okay. So I'm going to get my book pages out of the way for now. Onto the floor. And now that this is glued, I'm just going to take my fingers and fold it by hand in half, the long way. Now, if you're putting this in your book, of course, you want to make sure that the height will work inside your book. And so now I have this folded card, and it's still a little damp, so I'm going to be setting it aside. But again, without measuring, I know it was about 5 inches, so it's at the halfway point, it's about 2.5 inches. So you want a piece of paper that's going to fit within the height, and that you can fold up to put inside, that isn't as wide as the 2.5, because you're going to have some bulk, so you don't want it to be completely the same size. So you're going to make it a little bit smaller. And to show you that, I, again, just have a piece of regular paper, nothing fancy. You can use loose leaf, you can use scrapbook paper, junky papers, brown paper bags, whatever you have handy. So in this case, we want to use as much of the length as we can get. Okay, but the paper, if you look here, is wider or taller than the cover that we've made for it. So I'm going to make it about, you know, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch shorter on that side, and same with on this side. So I'm just going to take my trimmer and trim it down to about there. So I'm just going to make a little pinch. You can see I just have a little pinch in there, and taking it on my cutter. And you can tear them, you can cut them exact. And of course we keep all these little bits and pieces, because this could be the back of another one of these journal cards if you want to glue the little pieces together. So I've just cut it approximately to fit inside this book. You can see it's not perfect, and I don't intend it to be, because I'm not going to sit there and measure every little thing. You know, and that's part of the beauty of this, of doing this kind of art, is sometimes when you don't measure, you get the greatest results, and you're never sitting there waiting to figure out what size everything has to be. So we're going to accordion fold this paper, and because I don't want to make it exactly the width of the inside of this little cover, I'm going to take it just slightly away, which is probably about 2 inches. You know, in this case, it's 2.5. So just about 1/2 inch shorter than or narrower than the width of your paper. So I'm just going to make a little pinch mark with my finger. I don't know if you can see that or not, what I made. It's right there. And I'm just going to fold the paper, and you know, if you want a good fold, then you would match your lines up on both sides. And then once you've got that initial fold, you're going to accordion fold it back and forth, or brochure style. And again, I usually just take my finger and I mark with by pinching the paper, so that I know it's within the inside of my first measurement. You could get out your scoreboard and score it if you want. And it doesn't matter if you're left with a wide piece at the end or a narrow piece. And just fold it the same thing. So you can see where we're going with this, right? And then flip it over, do the same thing again. So maybe this is 8.5 by 11, so the length was 11 inches, but maybe you have a wider piece of paper. That's okay too. Maybe you have a shorter piece of paper. And so now I'm going to just fold this in, the last fold, and it's just slightly smaller. And even if it was only, you know, half of that, if it was only that size, it would still be okay. And if it was the full length, that would still be okay. So it really doesn't matter either way. And then taking your tool to press into the folds. And if your folding isn't perfectly straight, you can run it through your cutter and just straighten it, or live with it, which is what I do. And then you're going to place it into your book, and she says to try it, which is true. You want to try it. Just decide how you want it to pull out, which, you know, when your book opens this way, it probably would be best to have it open the opposite way instead of trying to open it this way. But if you were putting your book on the other side of the page, which she talks about, then you may want to glue it down so that it opens up this way. So it depends on where you're going to put it. So do a test first to see where you want it. I'm going with the probably the left side of the page is where I'm going to put it. So this last piece that would be sitting against the back of the book is what I'm going to glue down. So taking my glue pad, now you can use your glitter glues or whatever. I'm just going to glue right onto this with my glue stick. And I could have glued on the paper as well, but you know, this is quite a bit smaller than the paper, so it's just as easy to glue it on here. And then kind of just eyeball lining it up, trying to put it straight, knowing that this isn't going to interfere when it's closed. And I'm just going to, again, go back and forth with my glue stick cover to just smooth it into place. So now you have this little folded book that opens up with lots of writing space. So it can be any kind of paper that you put inside. It doesn't matter. You could have lined paper. This is a great way to use up loose leaf and foolscap paper if you have either one of those. And just a nice way to write. If you have the lined paper, you can even have it going this way, so you can write from top to bottom, right across. So it's entirely up to you. So then she takes these pages, or these booklets, sorry, and she just found a page in her journal and she glued it in. And like I said, I will link to her channel where she made this. And so I could glue it down. My biggest concern is the bulk, one, and number two, how are you going to write on this when it's in your book? It's not easy to write. So I thought this would be the perfect candidate to put in a long, tall pocket, or to you know, have tucked in one of those flat pockets that we had at the back. Or it can still be in your book on one of those pages, but I would just paper clip it. That's my thought. Is my book? Oh, here we go. I was looking for this page. My thought is to just paper clip it in, and we will be doing some paper clip stuff. But you can also, remember we made these little corner tucks. You could have it, because it's open, this would be a great way to have it closed and tuck into your book. So you can still go back, take it out and write on it separately from being in your book, but have it displayed ever so pretty in your book. I kind of like that, don't you? So I think my tag is now moving somewhere else. But now it's time to consider decorating. I'm just going to tuck this tag in here for now. We're going to get to the point where we have so much stuff, right? But now is the time to start decorating a few things. And so I'm just going to show you a quick little decorating method that I picked out for my journal. As I said before, this is not so much about the decorating as it is the techniques of getting stuff made. But, you know, we do get to the point where we should be decorating. Now, when I do a journal, I tend to work mostly in the same colors and themes all the time. You know, I love boho. I love anything with flowers or birds or butterflies. So for me, it always seems to be cohesive and work together. And I don't care if the colors don't match. I don't care if the colors are different. I love the element of surprise. You know, maybe you're working in a journal and you're making this beautiful blue page. And then I want to turn the page and find something orange. That just gets me more interested in the book and curious as to what's going to be on the next page. And you know, are things going to be completely different? And for the most part, we always tend to gravitate to working with things that we enjoy and love anyway. And it becomes your color. It becomes your design, your theme. And so don't get caught up on being matchy-matchy and, you know, color schemes, unless you're purposely making a yellow book. That's different. Or if you're purposely making a book about monkeys, well, then you know, maybe Victorian ladies aren't going to look well in a book of monkeys. Although Tarzan's Jane, wasn't she a Victorian lady? So yeah, maybe Jane would be in a monkey book. I hope you're okay with my analogy here. But the whole point is to not get caught up on making everything perfect, because you are perfect and your art is perfect and it will be beautiful no matter how you arrange it, how you create your color schemes. So because I did these two tags, I have this leftover piece of napkin, and you know I don't like to waste anything, so I'm just going to take the glue stick and for starters, glue this down. So again, a little bit at the top. Yeah, Tarzan and Jane. And I actually have some monkey fabric. I should find that fabric somewhere and dig it out and play with it. Make my own version of Tarzan and Jane. Okay, so just smoothing this out nicely. But it looks a little bit random, and I knew it would when I was looking at this, and I kind of planned ahead that this was going to happen. So because it looks so random, I had dug out a few things just because they were handy, and this has a little bit of glittery gold, which is my bohemian stuff, and I had an overload of these pink butterflies. And so I thought, well, they're not a perfect match, but again, you know, it really doesn't matter. It's just I'm using up stuff that was handy, and I wanted to get it off my desk, so this is what I'm using. And then I had some lace here, and it could be lace, it could be pieces of fabric. I think this will work. I really wanted to just kind of tone down that pink a little bit. And again, it's just making things a little bit cohesive to blend together. You know, you don't see that this is a book page anymore, although you do see the book page underneath. So I thought, okay, I'll use a piece of lace on here. Oh, those are horrible scissors. Not that any of my scissors on this table are good. I don't know where my scissors have all gone. I'll have to investigate my husband's room. He is on occasion taking a few of my goodies. So that looks kind of nice there. And I thought maybe I'll just do the same thing with these. Let's see how we make out here. And so I'm just going to add this little piece of lace here right now. I'm just laying it down, not sure exactly what I want to do. I see I didn't cut that very straight. I'm going to do it again. And it's not to say that I'll put all of these in the same journal. I may put them in another journal, or they might go into my ephemera stash. Because my plan is, after I shut off the video, I'm going to use the rest of that napkin and use it until it's gone. Because I've really gotten into that habit now of making sure that I use things. That actually looks quite pretty, doesn't it? Use things to the maximum so that they're out of my way and off my desk. And gone like yesterday's soup, I always say. So, again, I've got that, and I've got this gold and pink trim, so I'm just going to cut off a piece. Nothing too perfect. Do the same there. And cut one more piece. I think I put it there. And I had this gold because I said I wanted something glittery. So I had this, it's just like a tulle, came on a roll. And it's one of those Christmas things, I think. And it's not about, you know, I just wanted a little bit of glitz, nothing too much. So I'm just guessing here, but I think that'll work. I just want enough to continue with the, now this one has a little bit more glitter on the one side, so I'm going to put that up like that so you see it, and I'm going to have this just hanging down a little bit. And so the whole idea is to show you that you really don't need much to decorate and make little clustery bits on your projects. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. Nothing too much there. And then the same thing with this one. Now I do have the hot glue gun on, so I may hot glue all of these together. Now this has a little bit more gold on the one side, so I'm going to put it a little bit off center. And this piece is, maybe I'll just put my scissors on it to hold it down. And then I have these butterflies. So I had a huge collection, and because they had the gold and the pink, I thought, okay, well, I'll just keep going with the gold and pink then. And so I'm just going to fussy cut one out. I'm not going to do them all on camera. And they have a little bit of white edging on here. And normally I would just take my inker and ink them, but they are a glossy butterfly piece. These were pre-made die cuts. I do sell these on my website. I know we can get them here in Dollarama, but if you can't get them where you are, I do sell them. They're just a little bit too glossy to just ink the edges to get rid of the white part. So I just cut them out. And I will take the inker and ink around them a little bit more. But butterflies are, there's so many little parts to fussy cutting them out. And normally if I printed them, I would print them onto some type of backing so that I wouldn't have to go as close to the edge of the butterfly to get rid of it would be something that would be complementary as far as coloring. Okay, so I've got the butterfly basically cut out, and I'm just going to take my ink now and ink around the edges so that you don't see the remnants of that white along the edges as much as possible. And I have taken brown felt markers and gone around the edges as well. The only thing with using a brown felt marker is that the paper eventually cuts into it. So you want to make sure that you're using one that is not expensive, an expensive one to work with. And another thing you can use is a watercolor brush dipped in some watercolor or in ink, and get in between the edges a little bit. So that's not so bad. There's still a little bit of edges showing through there, but it's pretty good, I think. So all I would do now is glue it on the front of this, and it doesn't take much. You can see that it's just a little piece of the gold paper or gold tulle, just to give you a little hint of the glitz, a little piece of matching ribbon. This lace just tones down that pink, so it's not so much pink, even though I'm bringing the pink back with the butterfly. But it's a nice tie-in, and will look nice in the journal. So I'm going to quickly glue these things down. Get my glue gun out here. Oh yeah, it's hot. Now I don't worry too much about gluing this down perfectly. You can of course use your glitter glues and glue sticks, but I'm always in a hurry, and I like my glue gun. Although this has been sitting and heating for a couple of days. It's always on my my power bar, so whenever I turn on my lights here to work, the glue gun is always on. I don't always use it, and I'll worry about the strings afterwards. I don't always use it, so sometimes I end up burning the glue in my glue gun because it's been sitting there cooking for so long. And then I'm just going to run a longer bit here to glue the, and I see I need a lot of glue stick. Oh, and I glued that on the wrong way too. Now, all of these little glue strings I will trim away afterwards. And if you have a really stringy glue gun like I do, you can also take a hair dryer to melt them. Just put it on warm or a high setting, and just go back and forth over your piece, and the glue strings will disappear. Because this glue gun is very stringy. And then just putting a little bit on the back side of my butterfly. And I'm just going to put a little bit off center. And that's how I would glue this on. Now, I didn't trim the corners. You can round corner them. I believe Melania, I'm not sure how you say her name. Melania? I think that's how it is. I believe she round cornered hers, but you can. I'm just going to cut off the nubs again on mine, like I do, only because my round corner tool isn't on my desk. And then taking my ink, I can still ink around the edges a little bit. Now, the fun part about this butterfly was we've decorated the outside. Now this is just gaping a little bit. I'm just rolling it down my finger. And I haven't done anything on the inside, but we do have this huge fold out. So I thought, well, you know, we need some type of a tab to pull this out. And it just so happened that I had a piece of this ribbon that I cut off to make the ribbon relatively straight, and I still have a piece of this gold. And in my package, I found a half of a butterfly. So I thought, oh, that'll be perfect to make the tab. Now I'm just cutting off the rough edges again. Okay, I lied. I did say I wasn't going to make you watch me do this for all of them. I'm making you watch me do it for this one. And so it was a great way to use up this leftover piece of a butterfly. And you can take a butterfly and fold it in half, which I'll show you. Or you can cut a butterfly in half. But I just thought with this scrappy little bit, I hope I'm in camera all this time, and this little bit of gold that I have here, and this little piece of butterfly, that I would put that along the edge here, and hopefully my stapler is handy. And I've just stapled it on, and taking my pliers, just pushing the staples in. And I have a little tab now to open up the paper. Isn't that cute? So now this is going to tuck into my journal in that little tuck spot. I've got a few crumbs here and a little bit of glue to fix up, but you can see how pretty that is. nothing to that. And it was just, again, using your book pages. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to glue these down together. Or what I can also do, which I just thought of now, is I can just staple it here and glue down the sides. And then I can even just tuck my butterfly inside as a little tiny tuck inside, or still put it on the outside and use this to make a little tuck spot for my tag. So that's just an idea I just came up with just now, so I wasn't prepared for that one. But yes, so this is just a nice way to decorate your tag. And if you've got some butterflies. Now, if you've got butterflies that you've printed, you can just print them and glue them onto book pages on the back to give them strength, to make them a little bit stronger, and use them exactly the same way. Now, when I said about making a tab out of a butterfly, well, you can take a butterfly and fold it in half, cleaned up, and use that along the edge to make a tab. I would just pull it out a little bit. So then you have all of the edges of your butterfly secure by gluing them down to your paper or stapling it, so that this way they don't get caught on things. And then you still have, I haven't folded this very neatly, and of course you can still see the white lines here. But once it's cleaned up and folded nicely, you have the tab to work with, and you can even put a little hole punch in here and dangle something from it. So you can use a butterfly in that way as well. Or you can cut the butterfly in half and have 2 tabs, just like I did. I would just get rid of the butterfly body, sorry butterfly, by cleaning off the edges, and then it's good to go as a tab in your journal or in your little booklet. So that's my ideas for you for today, is to make one of these little booklets, and you can either tuck it in or glue it in. It's entirely up to you. I just find that with gluing it in, you are limited as to how you can write on this. You can further decorate your pages. I just used a plain piece of, copy paper in a cream color, but you can certainly ink stamp them. You can use scrapbook paper. You can use printed papers, wrapping paper, brown paper bags. There's so many different ways that you can make these little booklets and dress them up. I will put the links to Millennia's, I don't know what her name is. I'm sorry, I'm butchering your name. She's going to watch my video and go, oh, I hate that girl. But this is just a great way to use up those little scrappy bits. And you saw that there's not really much to putting this together. And I will play around with these tags and show you some more next week. And because I have this napkin here and I still have a bunch of butterflies, I think I'm going to play around for a while after I turn off the camera. And I will show you the results next week. Or not next week, sorry. But soon thereafter. Now, I don't know for sure if I'm going to have a class next Tuesday, because next Tuesday I'm picking up Thelma. So I don't know if I'll have time on Monday or Tuesday morning to put a video together. So we are probably going to be taking a break for a couple weeks from the regular Techniques Tuesday. But Thelma and I do have plans to have a day of coffee staining and distressing paper and spraying it and dyeing it and using our plastic doilies, because I've been collecting all kinds of doilies. I have all my paint supplies, all kinds of dyes and alcohol inks. And so we're just going to have a huge play day and decorate a whole bunch of papers. So we will and I may do avocado, but if not, I'll do it another day. But we will have a big day, and we will videotape it, so you'll get to see us. We'll be working outside on the deck. The weather is getting nice here in New Brunswick, so it'll be perfect. And so we'll just have 2 big long tables and coffee stain and dye away. And I don't even have to worry about the deck so much, because my husband is going to be restaining the deck. So that's okay. If we spill a little bit, we'll be okay. for the most part. I don't want to spill purple on my deck, but for the most part, we will be safe. So I will bring you along for that, and I will try to squeeze something in here and there. Hopefully, we can squeeze in a couple of videos of Thelma and I going thrifting, because we have plans to go thrifting and antiquing. I've got lots of fun places to take her to, so we will try to film as much of that as we can and videotape some of the things that we got. So just to put this in my book and show you what it looks like in here. Now I can tuck it, I will glue these little bits down a little bit better, but I can tuck it into a belly band if I wanted to. And that just gives it another little flair there. I could even go back and decorate this with some of that napkin too. So it can be tucked in there. It can be added onto a page. I really like this page though, so I don't think I would add it onto here. Let's just turn a couple more here. I like that one too. This one, I think I can clip it on there along the side if I want to, or I can go back and use this tuck by tucking it inside. Doesn't that look cute? Just like that, it's done. And I've just got a paper clip on here right now, but I can actually, and look, the butterfly, that worked out just perfectly. I can actually just put a little bit of the same napkin trim and a little bit of other goodies on there just to make it all work together. And then if I have my 2 journal cards done, or tags done, which I will show you on our next video, they can also be part of the page or part of the journal somewhere, just to bring it all together. Like I said, it doesn't have to be everything matchy, but if you have a little bit of blending and you know, a few pieces here and there that are of the same color family, you will find that your journal becomes perfect the way it is, with decorating the way you like and in the styles that you like. So feel free to experiment and work in different colors and create, like this looks really nice just right here. So if I have a chance to make something to go here where I can tuck this, that might be a possibility as well. So I hope you enjoyed today's class. And as far as homework, I think if you get a couple of these little booklets made, and maybe I'll say your homework is to use up one entire napkin, one whole 4 square napkin, and create with it. And use your book pages. Sorry, I put it on the ground. Use your pages out of your book and just some plain paper and make some fun decorations. And I'm sure you can find some fabrics and scraps to work with. If not, just pick one of the shirts out of your closet and cut it up. That's it for today. I wish you all a very creative week. And like I said, I look forward to seeing all of you soon. I don't know when, but you'll get a posting some way, somehow. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.